and they are demanding answers and they are demanding changes.
Finally, a player that's worth paying the money for. Caitlin Clark comes along.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening.
Just now, 3 WNBA referees received suspensions. And really, why did it take them so long?
Grabbing, physically grabbing her, applying pressure, pushing her.
The league eventually pulled the trigger after months of witnessing Caitlin Clark be methodically destroyed on the court while referees pretended they were being paid to ignore it.
Look at this. Look at this.
Do you want to know what caused the most trouble? There was more than one incident. The WNBA was ultimately obliged to act due to a confluence of financial panic, partiality, and ineptitude.
And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's
I'll begin with the Liberty versus Fever game, which revealed everything. A disparity of -31 free throws from recent games. A flagrant failure to call Caitlin Clark in the closing seconds that might have just 2.9 seconds remain when Caitlin Clark grabs the ball. 2 points behind. She ought to have taken advantage of this to tie the match and force overtime. We were given a masterclass on how not to officiate basketball instead.
A -31 free throw discrepancy over recent games. A blatant no call on Caitlin Clark in the final seconds that...
Clearly visible contact is made by Natasha Cloud with Clark on several occasions, as the replays clearly demonstrate. Even casual fans were screaming at their TVs because of the clear contact. But there is total radio silence from the referees. Not even a fleeting thought.
Beautifully done by Caitlin Clark.
The replay shows obvious contact.
The footage from the replay is damning. You watch as Cloud grabs Clark, presses down on her, and pushes her in ways that would cause a defensive back in the NFL to flush. This was not a game of basketball. The biggest star in the league was the target of this methodical targeting, which was permitted to take place in broad daylight. When Clark saw there would be no call, she instantly turned to the referees and began yelling. Her teammates even went to the referees to voice their disapproval. Nothing. Officials remained completely silent, seemingly believing that basketball should be a physical sport. However, the worst aspect of the game wasn't even that last play. In the last 3 possessions, the referees made 3 critical errors. She was severely hacked after having a wide-open layup. She was the first to miss. Dana Bonner's effort at a wide-open layup is ruined. The forceful physical touch caused her to miss the shot. But the referee didn't whistle or call. Establishes contact. At best, there wasn't much contact. However, after a phantom foul on Sabrina Ionescu, Lexi Hall is whistled. While playing flawless defense, Hall was in an ideal legal guarding stance. However, that somehow receives a call, but Bonner getting blasted does not. Ionescu's free throws turned into the game-winning scores that weren't supposed to be there.
With her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the 4th time.
Coach Stephanie White comes into play at this point, and I have to give her credit for it. She was furious when she arrived at the post-game news conference and didn't hold back. White pointed out a difference of -31 free throws in recent games. Consider that figure. 31 fewer attempts at free throws than their rivals. I think what's been happening to us over the last few games is pretty egregious, she added. We're attacking the rim, and our squad is currently receiving some pretty tremendous disrespect.
She had a wide-open layup and got hacked hard.
White didn't stop there either. There is a system to ensure that we can send stuff in and communicate our grievances, so to speak, she said, openly criticizing the WNBA's grievance procedure. I'm not sure whether I ever get the impression that the system functions. She actually means that when clubs complain about biased refereeing, the league doesn't care. The majority of coaches remain silent because of fear of penalties. She is here to shield her team from the so-called system, so screw the consequences, White added.
Makes the contact.
Let us now discuss the injury that caused a significant financial blow to the league. The Indiana Fever declared on May 26, 2025, that Caitlin Clark will be out for at least 2 weeks due to a discomfort in her left quadriceps. At least 2 weeks, with the possibility of extending to a month or more.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. a minus 31 free throw discrepancy.
Clark's remarkable durability run came to an end as a result. Since 2017, she hadn't missed a game. Basketball for 8 years without missing a game. And it came to an end because the WNBA failed to recognize that safeguarding their golden goose should come first. What aggravates me the most about this injury is this. Perhaps since preseason, Clark had been playing through it for weeks.
There's a system.
Clark was seen wearing heating pads on her quad during games in recently released video. There had been complaints from gamegoers that she appeared uneasy while on the sidelines and that she was developing heat compression on her quad. Until the financial impact made it impossible to ignore, no one wanted to acknowledge the signs that were all around them. Timelines for muscle injuries are not convenient. This can last for 3 weeks, a month, or more.
A new injury. This is not the injury that she was dealing with during
The Atlanta Dream game footage is especially incriminating. Player after player can be seen contacting Clark in ways that would cause a linebacker to blush. Physical contact, pushing, grabbing, and applying pressure are all acts of intimidation that have nothing to do with basketball. It wasn't basketball. This was a deliberate attempt to target the biggest celebrity in the league. And game after game, that was permitted to occur. The referees allowed her to be pummeling night after night until her body finally screamed enough, refusing to call the apparent fouls.
Clark will be sidelined for at least 2 weeks with a left quad strain.
Since statistics don't lie as WNBA officials seem to, let's talk about them. 1 million people watched the 24 WNBA broadcasts in 2024. Given that Caitlin Clark appeared in 21 of them, the explanation is clear. While games without her averaged a pitiful 394,000 views, games with Clark averaged 1.19 million. It's more than just a distinction. That's what separates a successful league from a failing afterthought that will quickly fade into obscurity.
There is literally footage of her putting heat packs on her leg.
The effects on the economy were felt very away. After the injury announcement, ticket prices for the highly anticipated rematch between Clark and Angel Reese fell by 42% overnight, from an average of $137 to $80. Following Clark's drafting, Visit Indy reported a 501% increase in traffic to their Fever-specific website. There is a close correlation between the Fever home games and hotel reservations in Indianapolis. The interest Clark creates has led to the creation of a $75 million practice facility. Basketball isn't the only topic here. This concerns a whole economic ecology that is centered on a single participant. It was best expressed by Stephen E. Smith. He is keeping a careful eye on the ratings in light of Caitlin Clark's absence. He cautioned that if there is a sudden drop-off, everyone must take a moment to acknowledge that the rumors that she is the golden goose are true. He's not incorrect. The highest-watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years, the most recent Clark vs. Reese showdown drew an incredible 2.7 million viewers. Those are essentially Super Bowl statistics for the WNBA.
Don't follow convenient timelines. This could stretch to 3 weeks, a month, or longer.
People are noting that a grade 1 quad...
This is when things start to get a little shady, so I want you to pay close attention. A competition committee made up of general managers, coaches, governors, and stakeholders effectively decides what kind of basketball the WNBA will permit, according to an SB Nation report. Take note of the fact that stakeholders are mentioned first. These individuals are in charge of deciding what constitutes appropriate physicality.
The commissioner's the worst commissioner in sports. She is horrible. She wants rivalries, this WWE.
Mick McCutcheon, a former NBA referee who rose from substitute teacher to NBA official, clarified that officials do not truly decide how the rules are interpreted or how the game is played. Referees obey the rules set forth by the competition committee, which controls the game's flow. Thus, it is not inept officiating when we witness Clark being battered repeatedly. That's obeying higher-ups' orders.
Games over the next 2 weeks have dropped 42%.
Additionally, McCutcheon disclosed something that nearly caused my eyes to roll out of my head. Stakeholders provide officials with ongoing feedback to ensure they are meeting those standards, he said. Not opinions expressed by coaches.